So you're thinking about getting a Maltese. You've seen those beautiful little white fluff balls and you are completely hooked. I totally get it. Today, we're going to break down everything you really need to know. This is your complete guide.
Lively, affectionate, very gentle, and intelligent. I mean, that's straight from the official breed standard, and it just paints the perfect picture, doesn't it? The ultimate elegant companion dog. And that's not an exaggeration. These dogs have been charming people for literally thousands of years.
Okay, before we really get into the nitty-gritty, if this guide helps you out, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. Give us a like and maybe drop a comment. It seriously helps us make more of these for you.
So, what's on the agenda? First, we'll talk about that dream of owning a Maltese. Then, we'll hit you with a dose of reality, the true cost. After that, we'll get into the day-to-day stuff, grooming, diet, their personality. We'll also cover the super important topic of health and picking a good breeder. And finally, we'll wrap it all up to help you answer the big question. Is this really the dog for you?
All right, let's jump right into it. The true cost of ownership. We've got to talk about the money first. How much is that dream puppy really going to set you back?
So, let's get down to brass tacks. What's the actual financial commitment we're talking about here?
Okay, get ready for a pretty big range. In Poland, you could be looking at anywhere from 2,000 to 7,000 zloty. Yeah, quite a spread, right? And for a puppy from a really top-tier kennel, that price can go even higher.
So you're probably wondering, why such a huge difference in price? Well, it's not random. A lot of it comes down to pedigree and genes. If the puppy's parents are award-winning show dogs, you can bet the price will be higher. A breeder's reputation also plays a massive part. And here's the big one, health. That higher price tag almost always includes vaccinations, deworming, and all those initial vet checks.
And what you're really paying for with a good breeder is peace of mind. You're going to get a birth certificate. That's your guarantee of a purebred dog. You'll get all the medical records, so there are no surprises. A lot of them even throw in a little starter pack with some food and toys. But honestly, the best part? You get their support and advice long after you brought your puppy home. That's invaluable.
Okay, so we've talked money. Now for part 2, grooming, diet, and personality. This is where we look past that perfect, fluffy image and get into the reality of everyday life with a Maltese. And trust me, it's more than just cute cuddles.
Ah, that coat. That beautiful, silky white fur. It's what everyone notices first, right? But here's the thing. It does not take care of itself. Keeping it looking that good is a serious, and I mean serious, commitment.
So what does that commitment look like? Well, for starters, you've got to brush them every single day. That's non-negotiable if you want to avoid painful tangles and mats. Then you've got regular baths at least once a month with special shampoos. You also need to pay close attention to their eyes to prevent those rusty-looking tear stains. And on top of all that, you've got regular ear cleaning and nail trimming. It's a whole routine. Now let's talk food. These little guys can have a surprisingly huge appetite, which means you have to be super careful about their diet to keep them from getting overweight. When they're a puppy, it's 3 or 4 small, high-energy meals a day. As an adult, that scales back to 2 meals. And when they get older, you'll switch again to a lower-calorie food to keep them healthy.
But it's not just about the physical stuff. You really have to understand their personality. A Maltese is a companion dog, through and through. That's what they were bred for. They absolutely hate being alone and need a ton of attention. If they're left by themselves too often, they can get really anxious.
All right, moving on to a really important section, health and choosing the right breeder. Getting this part right can save you a world of heartache and vet bills down the line.
The good news is Maltese are generally pretty healthy dogs and can live a long time, like 15 to 20 years. But like any purebred, they have some typical health problems to be aware of. We already talked about the tear ducts that cause stains. They can also have allergies. There's something called white dog shaker syndrome, and slipping kneecaps can be an issue. Plus, there are some specific genetic diseases that a good breeder will test the parents for.
So, knowing all that, how do you find a breeder who actually cares about minimizing those risks? How do you pick someone who puts the dog's health first?
Here's your checklist for finding a great breeder. First, in Poland, they absolutely have to be registered with the ZKWP. That's the Polish Kennel Club. No exceptions. They should also want you to come visit and meet the puppy's parents. A good breeder will be happy to show you all the health tests. They'll also be focused on early socialization. And a huge red flag is if they try to send a puppy home before it's 10 weeks old. Don't walk, run away from that.
Just a quick but super important note on the paperwork. Every purebred puppy should come with a matrika. Think of it as their official birth certificate.
It's the proof that the dog is the real deal. With that document, you can then go and get the full official pedigree if you want to.
Okay, we've been through the cost, the daily care, the health stuff, everything. So let's pull it all together for the final verdict. Is a Maltese the right dog for you? So here's the bottom line. On the pros side, you get a super loving, smart little companion who's great for people with allergies because they barely shed. They live a long time and have a really sweet, happy personality. But on the requirement side, you've got that intense daily grooming. They need someone around most of the time. You have to watch out for certain health issues and be ready for the high cost. It's a real trade-off.
And that brings us to the final question, the one only you can answer. Are you really, truly ready for years of dedication to this tiny, white, beating heart? It is a huge commitment.
Hey, if this guide helped you out and gave you some clarity, consider supporting our work through our buy copy link you'll find in the description. It really helps us keep making these guides. Thanks so much for watching.